Hi, it's Josh Goldberg here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about 5 of the most common difficulties that you will have in trying to have a relationship with a borderline person, whether it be a friend, a family member, or a loved one like a spouse. So these 5 difficulties I have observed from many clients that I have, and also I've experienced these 5 difficulties myself. So let's get into it. Number 1 is psychosis and no boundaries. So the very intense trauma that the borderline person had in their childhood certainly creates the phenomenon of psychosis, which is when they perceive things that don't actually exist. And along with that, the toxic and dysfunctional environments that they grew up in, because it doesn't have boundaries, the BPD person also, until they have recovered and healed, will also confuse and blur boundaries. Okay, so for you being in this relationship, you will be dealing with things sometimes that don't exist, which can be very confusing. And also the lack of boundaries makes things very confusing and can make you kind of think and feel like, where is this coming from? Is this me? Is this them? Where did this even start? Okay, so this is number 1, psychosis and lack of boundaries. It's very confusing and difficult to deal with. So difficulty number 2 is emotional dysregulation. So borderline personality disorder is essentially a mood disorder. That's a very big component of it. So certainly don't rely on the borderline person to put you in a good mood, okay? The borderline person will often be in a bad or an unpleasant or a negative mood. In fact, most borderline people find it difficult to be in a positive or pleasant mood, which means that you have to have your own mood under control. You have to be doing things to bring yourself to a good mood. Because with the borderline person, you're essentially going to be dealing with a lot of mood swings, and the vast majority of the time they will be dealing with an unpleasant mood. And even if the mood is positive, it generally doesn't last long. So this is difficulty number 2, is emotional dysregulation, mood swings, and dealing with an unpleasant mood a lot of the time. Difficulty number 3 is defensiveness and hypersensitivity. Okay, so this makes it difficult to have conversations, to make jokes, asking questions. Okay, when the borderline person is triggered into their emotional trauma from their childhood and into their past, they can certainly become defensive and even sometimes aggressive, okay, to protect their trauma emotions and to not experience them. They can become defensive. And the hypersensitivity often just gets in the way of good times and connecting conversations and jokes and having fun. So that's key point number 3. Difficulty number 4 is preemptive and perceived rejection and criticism. Okay, so the borderline person will often perceive criticism or perceive rejection, even though that's not your intention at all. So this could be misreading facial expressions, misreading into your tone of voice, misreading your behavior, and they can preemptively start to defend themselves or to become aggressive if they perceive that you are rejecting them or abandoning them or even criticizing them, when in fact that is not your intention at all. This is very difficult to deal with and very tiring when it's not actually what you're trying to do. And last for today is difficulty number 5, is the unwillingness to get help for themselves and to get therapy. So this is a very common difficulty with borderline personality disorder. I personally think this is widely misunderstood, why they don't go for therapy. My opinion is it's certainly a defensive strategy. It comes mainly from anxiety and fear that if I go to therapy and my issues come up, then this person is going to leave me and abandon me, which is one of their very big anxieties. So it's very difficult to encourage and support a borderline person the right way in order for them to get the help and support and the healing that they need. And when the relationship is already under stress and things are going bad, it's just an extra thing that's difficult when they're not so cooperative and keen to go get therapy for themselves. So these were the 5 main difficulties that I hear from clients and that I've been through also myself. If you connect with this content, please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more content, and we look forward to seeing you in future videos.